Hi, room 13. Miss T here, and it is time for a read aloud. So, yesterday we read the first chapter of Frog and Toad Are Friends. Today we are going to read the next chapter. So, yesterday we read about spring, and today's chapter is called The Story. So, let's get started with reading Frog and Toad Are Friends. The Story. One day in summer, what season is it now? Summer. Frog was not feeling well. Toad said, "Frog, you are looking quite green." "But I always look green," said Frog. "I'm a frog." "Today you look very green, even green for a frog," said Toad. "Get into my bed and rest." Toad made Frog a cup of hot tea. Who else drinks tea when they're not feeling good? I do. Frog drank the tea and then he said, "Tell me a story while I'm resting." What did Frog want to hear? A story. Let's see. "All right," said Toad. "Let me think of a story to tell you." Toad thought and thought, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. Oh no, what is the problem? Toad could not think of a story. "I will go out on the front porch and walk up and down," said Toad. "Perhaps that will help me think of a story." Toad walked up and down the porch for a very long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. So what's the problem? Toad's problem is that he can't think of a story. Then Toad went into the house and stood on his head. "Why are you standing on your head?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I stand on my head, it will help me think of a story," said Toad. Toad stood on his head for a very long time, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. He is standing on his head, but he still couldn't think of a story. Then Toad poured a glass of water over his head. "What? Why are you pouring water over your head?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I pour water over my head, it will help me think of a story," said Toad. Toad poured many glasses of water over his head, but he could not think of a story to tell Frog. And there he is, pouring water over his head. Do you think that would help you think of a story? I don't know. Then Toad began to bang his head against the wall. Oh no. "Why are you banging your head against the wall?" asked Frog. "I hope that if I bang my head against the wall hard enough, it will help me think of a story," said Toad. Do you think that's a smart idea? Probably not. That would probably hurt a lot. Ouch. "I'm feeling much better now, Toad," said Frog. "I don't think that I need a story anymore." "Then you get out of bed and you let me get into that bed," said Toad. Why do you think Toad wanted to get into the bed now? Probably because he wasn't feeling so good anymore, right? Well, why do you need to get into the bed? Because now I feel terrible. Frog said, "Would you like me to tell you a story, Toad?" "Oh, yes," said Toad, "if you know of one." And there's Toad getting into the bed, and Frog's going to tell the story now. "Once upon a time," said Frog, "there was two good friends, a frog and a toad. The frog was not feeling well. He asked his friend the toad to tell him a story. The toad could not think of a story. He walked up and down the porch, but he could not think of a story. He stood on his head, but he could not think of a story. He poured water over his head, but he could not think of a story. He even banged his head against the wall, but he still could not think of a story. Then the toad did not feel well, and the frog was feeling better. So the toad went to bed, and the frog got up and told him a story. The end. How was that, Toad? Said Frog. But Toad did not answer because he was fast asleep. And that is the end of the story. So I want you to think about what was the problem and what was the solution in the story. All right, I will see you guys soon for the next chapter. Have a great day.